Life is all about overcoming worries and pushing boundaries. Here's the story of two girls after climbing 2,000 feet to the top of a distant, abandoned radio tower, have no way to get off. Before we begin the story, request you to like and subscribe to our channel Movies360 Club. The first scene of the film is of the mountains. Becky and her husband Dan are seen climbing the mountain together. They have just married and now they are happy. Despite being crazy, he likes to climb mountains. This has taken him to dangerous places. Becky's friend Hunter was also with him and he likes to take risks. This madness leads him to dangerous areas. Dan's hand accidentally touches the bird's nest as he climbs the mountain. As the bird flies into danger, Dan loses his balance. Was tied to a rope and can't get up even if he tries hard. Becky and his friends try everything possible to help him, but they just can't. Because of this, he falls down and dies. Later, after a year has passed, we see that Becky is still in mourning. She still took Dan's ashes with her. She drinks even more, and everything in her life falls apart. When Becky's father saw her in this condition, he became very upset. A year later, she sees her best friend for the first time since her husband's death. She says, "Let's climb a mountain again. It was something we loved doing. It would be nice if you come with me." Later, she shows him a tower from the past that used to be in the desert. It is 2,000 feet long. She asks him to accompany her and spread her husband's ashes there. This will make both you and your husband feel good. After much deliberation, Becky decides to stay with Hunter. She wants to have fun with him, so they go on a trip. Along the way, they have a lot of fun and record videos on their phones. During this, his carelessness was going to lead to a terrible accident. They were about to get hit by a speeding truck, but they stopped their car in time. They are relieved that they have been saved, so they move on. When they go where they are going, Hunter finds a dead goat that the birds are eating on the way. She blows up all the birds and then, after catching the goat, posts a picture of it on her Instagram. Later, when they reach the tower, Hunter begins making videos. She was writing everything. At first, they were horrified to see how high it was. The way Becky looks, it seems that she is quite scared. Hunter tells her not to worry because we will do this together. She ties herself and Becky together, and then they begin to climb. But Becky felt everything as she went upstairs. It's stairs and the sound of an old, rusty tower. Becky was afraid to go upstairs, but she keeps going up. Hunter tells him that we have reached the middle of the tower by climbing up. This means they have gone over 1,000 feet, which is the same height as the Eiffel Tower. There was a strong wind blowing because of the wind blowing from above. And now that she's made a move, Hunter tells him they're almost there, and soon we'll get where we're headed. But when Becky looked down, she was scared to be on top. Hunter makes fun of her by shaking the stairs, which frightens her. She slowly worked his way to the top of the tower. As the climber went up the tower, one of the ladder nuts broke, and they didn't know about it because they were too busy to have fun. Hunter pulls out his camera on his drone and begins recording everything. Becky was also glad that her friend was there. Hunter can't stop, and after walking along the tower, she asks Becky to take a picture of her and tells Becky to do the same for her. She is scared, but after overcoming her fear, she agrees, so she walks around with the tower and takes a picture of her. Hunter hugs his friend, and Becky throws her husband's ashes into the air. She starts feeling a little better and they both miss her. After completing their mission, they decide to return. The rusty staircase of the old tower is broken. Becky hangs down, but Hunter pulls her up. Becky's bag hangs from the tower's antenna. That's where his drone camera and food are. She is now out of their reach, and Becky is terrified. They brought their phone, but they could not use it at the top of the tower because there was no signal. Later in the tower, they find a flare gun and a microscope. Hunter says it doesn't matter, and if we just use one gun, it doesn't matter. Becky gets worried seeing the cut in her leg. She puts a bandage on it and sees what else can be done. They sit there to finish their vlogs. Hunter can see with a microscope after a few hours. There is a car nearby, but they can't get help from them because they can't call them. Hunter later checks her phone and sees a post she did a while back. People like and talk about that post a lot, which means that people on the ground at that time could get signals. Hunter puts a message on her ID asking for help. After tying the rope around her phone, she turns it down so she can get a signal, and people who saw her post could come to her for help. There was still no signal on the phone, so they couldn't send their message. She decides to stop there and tilt the phone down. Still, her message doesn't go through, and Hunter decides what to do. She would throw her phone down, but first she would put it in her socks. Later in their shoes, so that when their phone falls on the ground it doesn't break. Afterwards, she'll drop her phone, and she'll pick up the signal from the ground. For this reason, message will be sent. Hunter looks at the man and his dog on the ground through a microscope. Becky quickly threw her shoe down because he was on the phone with someone. So, he can see them, but he does nothing about it and moves on. Becky was about to fire the gun, but Hunter stopped her. She tells her to wait till the sun sets, as someone will come to their aid. Now that it's night, Becky watches a video on her phone to pass the time. She sees that the hunter is looking at her and her husband strangely. Hunter tells her to fire the flare gun at the same time. Later, when she turns on the flashlight on her phone, she starts spinning. Two men later find them, but they can't help it, nor could they see them, because they were too high. They steal his car in return. Hunter was about to fall when she was trying to sleep at night. Becky saves her, and when she looks at her leg, she sees a tattoo. Meanwhile, Becky remembers something about the page that read 143. Whenever she would say to her husband, "I love you," he would reply, 143. In this scene, Becky learns that her friend and her husband were together. Hunter is also trapped, so she tells Becky everything that happened between her and her husband. When Becky hears this, she starts thinking strange things, so Hunter says she's sorry. While this is going on, Becky with her drone sees the bag and the water bottle in it. Hunter tells her, "I'll take your bag over there." She puts a hook on each of the 4 sides of the tower. After tying a rope around her neck, she grabs the bag. As she has always been brave, she jumps from there and climbs onto the antenna. She takes out the selfie stick from her bag and uses it to tie a rope to her bag. She later takes a long jump and grabs the rope. After wearing it, she slowly rises up. Her rope suddenly slips from her hand and she falls. Seeing this, Becky starts crying. Hunter is still there when she later looks down and sees him. She was still alive, but was unable to get up due to a hand injury. Becky pulled it off with all her might. She finally saved her friend. She drinks some water, and then they write a note. After putting it on the drone, they fly it. However, as soon as it runs, the battery is drained. So, they bring it back, even if it's night now. Becky learns at night that her friend has died after falling. Birds are eating his body without mercy. When she wakes up, she realizes it was all a dream. She has a thought when she sees the lights on the tower. After going upstairs, she will charge the battery of her drone. In the morning, they do so, and Becky heads upstairs to charge the drone. She puts the phone down until the drone is charged. She later goes downstairs, and then they write a note on a piece of paper. They attach it to the drone and send it in the direction of their home. The drone hit the car and broke down before reaching home. They spend days hoping that one day someone will come to their aid. Becky's health continues to deteriorate and she cannot stay there even for a day. She asks Hunter for her shoe later so that she can throw her phone with her. With another note, because she has nothing else to do, but Hunter stops her, which teaches us something. Hunter was not with her, so she was dead when she fell. When she went to get the bag, Becky put it in her head. Hunter is with her, so she doesn't feel alone. When she looks down, she sees birds eating her friend's body. Becky cries a lot and leaves a message for her father. In her last message, she said that she no longer thought she could live. Morning comes, and another day goes. After some time, a bird seeing blood coming out of his leg comes to eat it. Becky breaks the bird's neck and then eats it raw. We learn that she was in a lot of pain because she was hungry, but eating it gives her enough energy. On the other hand, his father was very worried about him. He wants to find out where his daughter has won. Becky goes back downstairs after regaining her courage, where Hunter's body was placed on the antenna. Hunter's phone was in her shoe, and it was on her stomach. She tells Hunter she's sorry and throws her down, so her phone does not break and her message reaches his father. We will know in a few hours. We see Becky's father get closer to the tower and find Hunter's body. The police take him in, and he thinks that his daughter may have died. Becky, on the other hand, calls him Dad, which makes him feel better that she is still alive and embraces her father. Becky is still alive because she worked hard and was brave. This is how the film ends. Thanks.